A former appointee of Governor Christie of New Jersey says he has evidence the governor knew of the forced slowdown on the George Washington Bridge between New Jersey and New York while it was going on, and that he's prepared to prove it. Despite the governor's repeated denial tonight, this scandal has again engulfed Christie, embarrassingly on the eve of the Super Bowl, the first ever held in New Jersey. Tonight, the state's leading newspaper is saying if this is true, the governor must resign. And Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz said tonight Christie needs to hire a criminal lawyer if he hasn't already. NBC's Katie Tur starts us off tonight in the shadow of the GW Bridge, which has been lit up for the big game just 11 miles away. Katie, good evening.
Good evening, Brian. That appointee is David Wildstein. It's important to note we don't know what the evidence is. The letter didn't specify. Also important to note that his lawyer is trying to get his legal fees paid for. But if this is substantiated, you have to wonder, how can Christie survive this?
David Wildstein.
Late this afternoon, a lawyer for David Wildstein, the former Port Authority official embroiled in the George Washington Bridge lane closure scandal, released a letter disputing Christie's claim that he didn't know anything about it.
Let me tell you, everybody, I was blindsided yesterday morning.
In the letter, Wildstein's lawyer argues the governor not only knew about the closures, but described them as, quote, the Christie administration's order, writing, evidence exists as well tying Mr. Christie to having knowledge of the lane closures during the period when the lanes were closed, contrary to what the governor stated publicly in a 2-hour press conference.
This is a hugely significant development in the investigation. It's a direct challenge to the credibility of Governor Christie. But until we see the evidence that David Wildstein is talking about, it's very hard to know how to evaluate.
On January 9th, in that press conference, Christie adamantly denied knowing about, not to mention okaying, what he called a political vendetta.
I am humiliated by the fact that I did not know this and that I was deceived. And that's an awful way to feel.
Wildstein, who was appointed by Christie, had already resigned from the Port Authority when he appeared at a hearing in front of the New Jersey State Assembly, but wouldn't answer any questions.
On the advice of my counsel, I respectfully assert my right to remain silent.
What did the governor know, and when did he know it, have been the key questions since documents were released showing Christie's now former Deputy Chief of Staff, Bridget Ann Kelly, sent an email to Wildstein saying, time for some traffic problems in Fort Lee. Wildstein replied, got it. New Jersey lawmakers conducting their own investigation issued 20 subpoenas seeking documents from Christie's current and former top aides and his re-election campaign. Responses to those subpoenas are due next week. Assemblyman John Wisniewski is leading the investigation.
I don't know what documents he's referring to. We had subpoenaed documents from him. I'm a little frustrated as committee chair that we had asked for documents from him through a valid subpoena. He provided us over 900 pages, and apparently the documents he's referring to were not part of that response.
And the voices are only going to get louder after this. Forget presidential hopes, Brian. Many are now saying that if this is proved, he should resign or be impeached.
Katie Tur starting us off on the New York side of the GW Bridge tonight. Katie, thanks.